dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. My dear students, today we are continuing with the topic economic development in the history, and today we are going to start with the second part of this topic. And in the first part, we discussed about the mixed economy, 5-year plans, fundamental principle of planning, and in that the goals of plans from first 5-year plan to the 9th 5-year plan. And now today we are going to discuss about the nationalization of banks, 20-point program, issues of workers, new economic policy, remedies, and the last point, World Trade Organization. So the first point of this lesson, that is nationalization of banks. During the tenure of Prime Ministers Pandit Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri, banking was a monopoly of the private sector. These banks represented different industrial groups. It means that banks were not available or not that much easy for the common people. And the directors of these banks were working towards developing industrial sector and increasing its profits. So in general, we can say that the banks were only for the development or only for the profits of private sector. But then, in order to stop this, the government nationalized the Imperial Bank in 1955, and it got converted into State Bank of India. Today we can see number of branches of State Bank of India everywhere in the country. तो ये जो पहली ब्रांच स्टार्ट हुई दैट वाज इन 1955, जो इंपीरियल बैंक थी उसको नेशनलाइज कर दिया बाय द नेम स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. And then this bank opened several branches all over the country in a short while and played a major role in development. क्योंकि जो कॉमन लोग थे उनका पैसा भी उनके अकाउंट्स बैंक में शुरू है और उनका जो पैसा था वो भी बैंक में आने लगा और वो इनकम जो था वो गवर्नमेंट के पास जाने लगा. That is what is nationalization of banks. Then the background of nationalization, as we know and studied in the beginning, that India had adopted a mixed economy after independence, and nationalization of banks was essential for what? To convert the deficits if they occurred while implementing different schemes, and also the profits of these banks would come into the government treasury. And once they were nationalized, क्योंकि जब तक वो nationalized नहीं होते थे तो बैंक का सारा प्रॉफिट जो है वो प्राइवेट मैनेजमेंट जो हुआ करता था, जो डायरेक्टर्स हुआ करते थे उनके ही हाथ में जाता था. लेकिन एक बार उनको नेशनलाइज्ड कर दिया तो ये सारा इनकम जो है, सारा प्रॉफिट जो है वो गवर्नमेंट के पास चला जाता था. सो अलॉन्ग विद दिस द पॉलिसी ऑफ डेवलपिंग स्मॉल इंडस्ट्रीज एंड फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्रीज हैड टू बी implemented. And then Lal Bahadur Shastri undertook the experiment of the Green Revolution. Still we remember him for his जय जवान एंड जय किसान नारा जो उन्होंने दिया था in order to overcome food shortage and drought, Green Revolution. And during the tenure of Prime Minister of Indira Gandhi, Congress Forum for Socialist Action, a group in the Congress party, inspired by what? Inspired by socialist ideas, made a demand for nationalization of commercial banks, and even the Communist Party supported this demand. And then 20-point program. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi announced the 20-point program on 1st July 1975 and resolved to make efforts towards rapidly becoming a developed nation. Developing to developed nation, and the main provisions of the 20-point program: land ceiling for cities and agricultural land, equal division of wealth, minimum wages for workers, increase in water conservation schemes so that it may increase the production in the agricultural field. So here the word land ceiling, which means fix the quantum of land held by a family, or in simple words we can define land ceiling as the process of fixing the maximum limit of land holdings that an individual can own. अगर हम उस वक्त की बात करेंगे तो बहुत सारे लोगों के पास बहुत ज़्यादा ज़मीन हुआ करती थी, तो लैंड सीलिंग में क्या हुआ था कि उसको डिवाइड किया जाता था और डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया जाता था. एक लिमिट तय कर दी गई कि किसी एक व्यक्ति के पास इनकी इतनी ही ज़मीन रह सकती है. दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ लैंड सीलिंग. Then workers' participation in industry, national training scheme and freeing bonded labor. Prevention of tax evasion, economic crimes and smuggling. तो इन सब चीज़ों से जो पैसा इधर उधर जाता था, गवर्नमेंट से बच जाता था, वो सब फ्लो में आ गया. Then in the 20-point program, regulation of prices of basic necessities, improvements in the public distribution system. Then improvement in the textile industry by developing handloom sector, waiving loans for weaker sections so that they could start their own business or start their own shops. Housing communication facilities, making educational equipment available to schools. Then next to the 20-point program, issues of workers. The first textile mill was started in Mumbai on 11th July 1851 by Kawasji Dawar, and then mills started in Dadar, Paral, Bhaikala, Shivdi, Prabhadevi and Worli. This part came to be known as Girangaon, क्योंकि इसको मराठी में गिरनी कहते थे, तो ये सारी गिरनी यहाँ पर शुरू हुई तो उसे गिरनगांव और टाउन ऑफ मिल्स कहा जाने लगा. बट देन इन द 1980s द इंक्रीजिंग अनरेस्ट among workers was due to the economic conditions in other sectors compared to the issues of the workers in the mills. In some industries, the wages of the workers were increasing. They were also getting more amount as bonus. They were getting more facilities than the textile mill workers. तो इसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, उनमें एक अनरेस्ट पैदा हुआ. उन्हें ऐसे लग रहा था कि हमें जो मिल रहा है बाकी वर्कर्स से बहुत ही कम मिल रहा है. And which turned into the big thing. In the Diwali of 1981, the workers expected to get a bonus of 20% of their payment. In that, the Rashtriya Mill Mazdoor Sangh, which was negotiating with the employees, agreed upon 8 to 17% bonus without taking the workers into confidence. And here the thing started. 20% मिलने वाला था, लेकिन राष्ट्रीय मिल मजदूर संघ जो था उन्होंने मैनेजमेंट के साथ बात की और 8 to 17% पे उन्होंने हाँ कह दिया विदाउट टेकिंग द वर्कर्स इनटू कॉन्फिडेंस, उनके साथ बात किए बिना. सो द कट इन द बोनस प्रूव्ड टू बी द कॉज ऑफ अनरेस्ट. और उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, सम वर्कर्स वेंट टू डॉक्टर दत्ता सामंत. They asked him to accept their leadership, and under his leadership, workers of 65 mills came together and Dr. Datta Samant led the strike. So on 18th January 1982, 2.5 lakh workers went on strike. Just imagine this number, 2.5 lakh. Girangaon mills stopped running, making it seem like Mumbai's heart stopped throbbing. जैसे आज भी लोकल अगर किसी कारण से बंद हो जाती है तो हमें ऐसे लगता है कि मुंबई बंद हो गई है. सेम थिंग वॉज देयर ड्यूरिंग दैट पीरियड 1982. 2.5 लाख वर्कर्स एक साथ स्ट्राइक पे गए और सारी मिल्स जो थी वो बंद हो गई, स्टॉप हो गई. So the chief minister of Maharashtra of that time, barrister A.R. Antule, set up a committee to solve this issue. But then Baba Saheb Bhosle became the chief minister of Maharashtra state. He insisted that as per law, he would talk only with the Rashtriya Mil Mazdoor Sangh. Dr. Datta Samant demanded that the law be revoked. And in the beginning, the striking workers received help from their native villages. क्योंकि ये स्ट्राइक जो था कंटिन्यू चल रहा था और लोगों के पास जो पैसा था वो भी ख़त्म हो रहा था. तो इन द बिगनिंग उन्हें जो हेल्प थी उनके गांव से मिलती रही. It was also not very difficult for them to help each other. They set up departmental committees. अलग अलग committees बनाई and by the help of these committees distributed food grains, assistance in the form of funds. The left parties had supported the strike, and as the strike dragged on, efforts were made to split the striking workers' ranks. Even as the strike completed 6 months, the central government completely ignored it. उन्होंने कुछ ध्यान ही नहीं दिया. The workers started a jail bharo agitation, and in September 1982, 1.5 lakh workers took a march on the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra state. It didn't help at all. वो कुछ भी कर रहे थे वर्कर्स, अलग अलग तरह से अलग अलग ट्राई कर रहे थे, लेकिन हेल्प कुछ नहीं हो रहा था. ये वर्कर्स अपनी डिमांड पे डट के खड़े हुए थे और मैनेजमेंट जो था वो भी उनको जो चाहिए था वही करने के लिए तैयार था. तो ये जो स्ट्राइक था, स्ट्राइक का इशू था, वो सॉल्व होने का नाम नहीं ले रहा था. द स्ट्राइक completed a year, and this was the first strike to have gone on for a year. In this period, very bad thing, about 1.5 lakh workers became unemployed. पूरी तरह से वो unemployed हो गए. And during this period, as polyester had come into greater demand than cotton, the sale of mill cloth had already got affected. The mills moved from Mumbai to Surat in Gujarat. The central government then nationalized 13 textile mills. Appointment of arbitrators did not help to resolve the issue. तो ये मुंबई के या महाराष्ट्र के जो मिल वर्कर्स थे उनकी सबसे बड़ी स्ट्राइक थी, और इसी स्ट्राइक की वजह से हमने देखा है कि बहुत सारे लोग एक साथ अनएम्प्लॉयड हो गए, उन्होंने अपना रोजगार गंवा दिया. देन टू सॉल्व ऑल दिस थिंग्स, न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी. The year 1991 is very important in the history of modern India because after the 10th general elections, P.V. Narasimha Rao became the Prime Minister of India, and with Dr. Manmohan Singh as Finance Minister, he adopted the new economic policy of linking India's economy with the global economy. क्योंकि हमारा मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी और दुनिया की इकोनॉमी जो अलग अलग ट्रैक पे जा रही थी उसके साथ मैच करने के लिए, पैरेलली डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी को एक्सेप्ट किया गया. इंडियन इकोनॉमी वाज brought in tune with the global mainstream. And during this period, Indian economy was in crisis situation. Before the P.V. Narasimha Rao government took charge, Chandrasekhar was the Prime Minister, and during his tenure, the rate of inflation was 17%. So that you can understand the economic situation of our country. Economic growth rate had gone down by 1.1%. It had become difficult to pay back its loan and even give the interest on it. In May 1991, the government had tried to control the situation by selling some of its gold reserves and by mortgaging some. The proportion of internal loans of central and state governments together to the gross domestic product was 55%. And in 1980-81, 2,350 crore dollars, and it increased to 8,380 crore dollars in 1990 to 91. So ये 10 साल में ये कितना बढ़ गया, that you can see by these numbers. At this time, India had foreign exchange reserve of only 100 crore dollars. मतलब एक वक्त ऐसा आ गया कि फॉरेन फंड जो है वो सिर्फ 100 करोड़ डॉलर्स था. दिस ऑल्सो हैड द background of the increased oil prices due to the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq, and it became difficult for India to raise a loan. And during this period, non-resident Indians started withdrawing their deposits in foreign currency from India. And to solve these economic problems, P.V. Narasimha Rao appointed Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister in order to find a way out of this situation. Dr. Manmohan Singh, who is great economist, he undertook many corrective measures. Situation began to change. So the first thing, he removed the restrictions on foreign investments. He restricted the license system to 18 industries. In view of the increasing losses in the public sector industries, he opened up the public sector for investment by private industries. In order to bring the share market under control, he established the Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, in 1992. National Stock Exchange was computerized. He gave priority to remove the spectre of recession. Foreign investment in India grew during the first tenure of Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister. India could recover the gold mortgage with the Bank of England. The government got the support of the capitalist class as well as the middle class. And as the government opened up the telecom sector, mobile phone services started all over the country. So Dr. Manmohan Singh, who played an important role, he signed the agreement with the World Trade Organization and launched the policy of privatization, liberalization and globalization. So in this, now the next point, World Trade Organization. In 1995, India became a member of the World Trade Organization. The organization, which had the objectives like to free trade between countries, to put to an end all those discriminatory laws जो अलग अलग देशों में discrimination करते हैं, restrictions, rules and policies that are hurdles in the way of international free trade, and to regulate global trade with the help of a formal multi-party mechanism. Then General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, that is GATT, existed at the international level before the World Trade Organization. उससे पहले भी ये था, came into being, and it regulated commerce in India. They were opposed extreme views about the World Trade Organization. The provisions of the World Trade Organization are regarding grants, import export, foreign investment, agriculture, technology and services. लेकिन इसके बारे में कुछ लोग पॉजिटिव सोचते थे, कुछ लोग निगेटिव सोचते थे, दो विचारधाराएं चल रही थी. The sectors of electricity, water, transportation, education and health rapidly commercialized since India became a member of the World Trade Organization. So as per the various reports of the World Trade Organization, India has made a considerable improvement in different areas like reduction in the below poverty line, that is BPL population, decline of infant mortality, availability of facilities regarding drinking water and waste water management. So ये एक दौर था, ये एक पीरियड था जहाँ से हमारी इकोनॉमी डेवलप होती गई. Then India signed the South Asian Preferential Trade Agreement, that is SAPTA, along the lines of the World Trade Organization. India removed the import restrictions on several commodities for SAARC countries. India also gave discounts on import duties. India opened up the insurance sector to private and foreign investment. So इन सारी चीज़ों की वजह से अलग अलग जगहों पे जो पैसा था वो फ्लो में आया और इकोनॉमी जो ढेर हो चुकी थी हमारे देश की वो थोड़ी थोड़ी चलना स्टार्ट हुई. So in this way, in this lesson, we have learnt about the journey of India's economy. We have come a long way from mixed economy to globalization. And in the next chapter of history, we are going to study India's progress in other fields. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications. So my dear students, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.